Good to see everybody. Just a couple things to start, and then want to take any questions that you have. One, I feel really good about our start to being in the Big 12 and where our programs are today. Football being 4-1 is really exciting, where we thought we would be. But we have a lot of work to do, as everybody knows, and as Coach Prime has said. Our men's golf's off to a great start. They've had a terrific fall at this point. Our volleyball team had a huge win Saturday against Texas Tech, and it was a great step for our women's volleyball team. Soccer's off to a great start, been highly ranked all season. Like what Danny and his team are doing, had a tough one on Saturday, but that's in the rearview mirror. We're excited about what's ahead cross country. Sean Carlson, really pleased with the direction of that program and what he's doing. Also excited about tennis and women's golf and the start that they've had in their non-traditional season. Men's and women's basketball have started practice, and we have promising year ahead of us, and I know we'll get some game times here in the next hopefully 24, 48 hours that we can release. But I'm also really proud of our student athletes and what they're doing and what they're accomplishing out there. As all of you know, there was a preliminary approval of the House settlement yesterday, something that we're really focused on, and I'm certain that you'll have questions about that. But I'm excited about the preliminary approval because it allows us some kind of guidance, even though we don't have all the answers to our questions. It does give us some guidance as to where this is going. In the meantime, it's really important for us that we continue to focus on our NIL collective with the 5430 Foundation and the support that they're giving our student athletes. We'll have an announcement soon on a partnership that we're creating with Elevations Credit Union that I won't get into today, but we're really excited about that. We know the challenges of the House settlement are big and broad. We're prepared for them. We've been focused on the House settlement for the last 4 to 5 weeks, 4 to 5 months, that we've been working on. But it's a significant change in college athletics, and I'm certain that you've read a couple other things that have come out about these 70 team leagues and 72 team leagues, and I want to make our Buff Nation understand that we're having those conversations. We're abreast of what's going on in our industry, and again, there's a lot ahead on that. You may have seen that we announced a Buffs United campaign, and it's really a campaign to focus all of our energy on the future. And the future, the new future begins July 1 of 2025, and this Buffs United is really an effort for us to get all of our alumni engaged, our fans engaged in helping us prepare for what's ahead in the future. So those are my comments and to kick this off, and I'll open it up for any questions that anybody has.
Okay, if you just want to raise a hand, we'll get a microphone to you. So Tyler first.
Hey Rick, Tyler King with the Denver Gazette.
Yep.
You mentioned the 5430, the Foundation, the collective. Where do you feel like you guys have come in the last couple of years, just kind of getting organized, and where do you feel like is the next step you guys need to take NIL-wise?
Well, look, I think NIL is going to change, and I guess what I'd say first is we're really pleased at where the 5430 has come and where it started. I think everybody knows we were a little behind in NIL to start because we really wanted to understand what this would look like. Collective sprung up. We might have been a little late to the party, but through the work of Eric Belcher, who's one of our alumni, who's really spearheaded this effort in creating the 5430 Foundation, has really put us at a point where we can compete with the other schools. That obviously will change with the House settlement. We will bring everything in-house at some point. And then, the student athletes that can earn NIL will still have that ability to go above the cap based on the settlement to create business partnerships like, Travis Hunter has with NerdWallet and Shedeur Sanders with Nike. So I feel like we're in a good spot today. We probably weren't a couple years ago, but I feel like we're in a really good position, and I applaud Eric Belcher and the people around him that have put the 5430 together, and we will continue to work with them until this new shift begins in July 1 of 25.
Adam. Hi, Rick.
Oh, hi, Adam.
Hope you're doing well. Good to see you.
Yep.
Kind of building off that, with this changing landscape of college football, where do you see things going? Where do you hope to see things going?
Well, look, I mean, our first focus is on what we're going to do at Colorado. So what we're preparing for now, based on the preliminary approval yesterday, is, we've got 4 goals, and we've had 4 goals in all this as we've looked at what we're going to do at CU. And the first is we wanted to provide the similar opportunities that we have today for all of our student athletes. We also wanted to be as competitive as we are today. We don't want to cut any sports, and we want to provide the similar benefits for our student athletes. And what that will look like in a revenue share, again, those are some of the questions that we don't know yet. How does Title IX apply? What does this look like moving forward? We're still don't have any clarity on that, and we may not get any clarity until the end of this calendar year or early in 2025, but we'll be ready to go based on the information that we get. Look, this is going to change college athletics as we know it. And I know I just read something today where some school is cutting a sport. That's not something that we want to do. Our goal is, again, the 4 that I just stated. But we want to support our student athletes and our programs at the highest level, because we want to compete at the highest level. And where that goes in 5 years, we want to be a part of that. So this is a next step into being ready for that next thing, and whatever that next thing is. But college athletics is changing, and we're on top of it. And we want to do what's right for CU, and our goal, as I've talked with the regents, our president, and our chancellor, is we want to compete at the very highest level, and we're going to do everything in our power to be able to be in a position to do that.
Okay, go Pat.
Hey, Rick.
Oh,
Pat Rooney
yep.
from the camera. How is your office going to kind of tackle the matter of roster expansion and limitations on the roster? And, obviously what it means for one sport may not be the same as what it means for another sport.
Yeah, and look, what I would tell you is that, we've always been in compliance with Title IX, and as we look at roster limits, when you look at opportunities, that applies to Title IX. So we will make sure, I think we're 52% male, 48% female in the campus census, the last report that they had, and so we'll have those opportunities that will fit in there, and that all comes under the roster limits. I would tell you that those are the roster limits at this point. We may not go to the limit in some sports, we may in other sports. That's something that we're working through, but when the dust settles, it'll be in compliance with Title IX.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark Chisholm, Denver Gazette now. I guess 5 years ago, we couldn't predict where we'd be today. Do you believe that 5 years from now, there'll be a Super League or something like it? And then I have a second part.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is nothing surprises me on where this industry is going. We are going to prepare for what we believe is next. And does it go to a bigger conference? Who knows? I do know that there's TV agreements with all the different leagues, and those don't start becoming renewable until the end of this decade. In 29-30, so does it go that long? I don't know the answer to that question, but whatever it is, we're going to be in a position that we'll be prepared for it.
Okay, so I guess the 2 follows are, how much better position do you think you are than you were 2 years ago for the future? And because you're so very good in Olympic sports or cross country, soccer,
Ski, yep.
How confident are you that 5 years from now that those programs will be healthy and present at the university?
Yeah, look, I mean, do I think we're better positioned today to answer your first question? Yes. We've always, said that we need football to elevate our program. And we all know the importance of football in the Power Five, and we need football to be successful. We've got a lot of work to do. We still got a long season ahead of us in football, but I like where we're positioned today. I like the viewership that we're getting. I think we're second in the country as far as the overall viewership of our program, and I think that bodes well for us in the future. I think as we continue to grow, and with this Buffs United campaign, we've got to get more of our constituents involved in us. We've got to find revenue streams that we may not have today. I do think we will look different as we move forward. We're going to have, you can't do it all in revenue generation. You've got to make some cuts in your expenditures, and we will certainly be looking at all of that. But we are going to compete at the highest level in ski and cross country and some of the programs that you mentioned, because we want to win championships in all of our sports. And we know cross country and ski has a history of doing that. We know how important men's and women's basketball and all of our other sports, but we want to win at the highest level in all of our sports.
Does the future of football augment that, or is it detrimental to whether it's your program or at CU or at Stanford?
Again, a lot of it depends on what do those next media rights look like. Because again, the support that we can provide all of our program is going to be incumbent on the revenue that we can generate. And we know there's certain streams that we can do that. You may see more concerts that we do, because that's another revenue stream for us that we need. But we're going to be very creative in how we look at the whole landscape of college athletics. But we want all of our student athletes to have a world-class experience when they're here. We're going to provide more benefits in this new settlement agreement that we think is going to be beneficial to our student athletes. So we're going to continue to invest in success, and the success lies in our student athletes.
Ryan?
Eric,
Hello.
7 straight games and counting on national TV for you guys this year. Just curious how you kind of quantify the value of that for the department and also for the university.
Well, look, I think it's significant not only for our department, but for the university, Boulder community, and in some ways the Front Range. When you have that much viewership on your program, it certainly means a lot. It lifts up all of our programs, and the fact that in the first time in our history, we've been on all 4 major networks and ESPN is significant. And I was here in the 90s, and I think CBS was really the only one that covered us every week back then, if my memory serves me correct. But the fact that we're on these major networks is really valuable to our department. It's valuable to our conference, and it's valuable to our community as well.
Hey, Rick,
Oh.
Brian Howell from Boulder Daily Cameron.
Hi, Brian.
The first time since you've been AD, you have a new chancellor to work with this year. Just curious how that transition's going with the chancellor, and the support you're feeling from him in athletics.
Well, look, I think the support, I'll go to the chancellor in a second, but the support that we have from our regents, our president, and our chancellor are very aligned. And we've had a lot of discussions throughout the course of this whole change with the House settlement and all of that. And I would tell you, Chancellor Schwarz has been an incredible support for us at this point. We've had a lot of discussions about what it looks like. He's been to Penn State, North Carolina State, Florida State. He understands what big-time college athletics can do for a university. And like I said, our regents, our president, and our chancellor have been incredibly supportive.
Did you know him in Illinois?
I did not know him at Illinois, but that's probably good.
Okay.
Yes.
Just with the revenue sharing and all this new stuff coming to college football, how does that impact your guys' plans to, stadium upgrades, CU event center upgrades, stuff like that?
Well, I think we have to look at this holistically, because we do know that we have some infrastructure needs that we have, particularly on the west side of our football stadium. The basketball arena hasn't been renovated for a number of years. There are certain things that we have to do, and that's why it's important for us to become a little broader in our approach on how we're going to generate revenue, because those are things that we have to do in the very near future to be able to be successful. And we do know, based on building this building, the Nerd Wallet Club, the Crawford Club, the premium seating areas have been really impactful for us. They're all sold out for the next 3 years. We don't have any premium inventory in basketball. We need to create some. And we need to create more premium inventory in our football stadium to be able to grow that revenue. So we'll be looking at all those things holistically as we look to what our future looks like.
Okay, time for just a few more. Jason?
Morning, Rick. With the influence of Coach Prime and your experience with the Texas Rangers, any of this news present an opportunity to bring baseball back to CU?
That's always the first question I get when I'm out speaking to our alumni. But, look, I'd love to have baseball. I'd love to have, if you have baseball, you're going to have softball, right? I mean, from a Title IX perspective. So that's something I'd love to have at some point in the future, but it's not something that's going to happen in the near term, in my opinion. We've got other things that we have to fix. The first thing that we've got to do is we got to figure out how do we get to that 22%, and what does that look like, so we can start this next tranche of change in college athletics off on the right foot, and we'll be on the forefront of that rather than being a little bit behind like we were in NIL, and that's on me. It's not on anybody else. So.
Okay. Oh, sorry, do you have anything else? Okay, we're just gonna do three more. Pat, Matt?
Hey Rick, Pat Graham, Associate Press, nice
Yep.
to see you again. The prime effect.
What's the Royals hat about?
I'm sorry.
No, I
Runs deep.
love it. I love it.
The prime effect obviously enhances everything from ticket sales to merchandise to just everything. How do you factor that into like the long-term future win? And how do you sustain this momentum knowing he may not be around forever?
Well, look, we hope that Coach Prime finishes his career here. I think he can do significant things for us long-term with longevity. And so, for us, and I think Coach would sit here and tell you that he and I are on the same page about where we want this program to go. It's not a short-term fix. We want to set it up to be sustainable for the future. And I think what he's done has been incredible. I like the culture that he's created. I see it on a daily basis with his student athletes and his coaches. And like I said, I like where we're at. We've got a lot to do still moving forward, and we're on the same page on that.
And Matt, and then
Hey Rick, how complicated has this whole process been for you guys to keep up with, and how clear is the communication from NCAA leadership, et cetera, on what the future of this is going to look like?
Yeah, look, we spend a lot more time with our colleagues in the league about talking about this and what it looks like. And I will tell you that Brett Yormark has done a really good job of making sure that we're engaged in the discussions about what's ahead for college athletics. And I feel really good about that. We don't meet a lot with the NCAA, but we know understanding what their governance will look like. We don't know what that looks like moving forward, what enforcement looks like. But again, we get most of our information through the conference, and we meet regularly as ADs and our presidents and chancellors to talk about what that looks like. And our conference is set up to be incredibly successful. We know how great it is in basketball. But we also need to make it great in football, and we're making strides to do that. And I would say from top to bottom in this league, it's highly competitive. And, we're looking forward to continuing our work in this conference, and we've got a lot of support from the league.
Very brief follow-up on
Yes.
that one. How complicated is your job now compared to when you got there?
It's incredibly complicated. I didn't answer that question, but, it's incredibly complicated, but I've got an incredible team around me, my executive team. We've been working on this. We've got a lot of smart minds in that room, and we're looking at everything. We want to be on the forefront of this next change, and we're going to be at Colorado because we've got good people that we're working with. Our coaches understand where we're headed, and again, I need to explain to them what does it look like for you, in your program in the next several weeks. And let's be honest. I mean, we got a signing day in about 4 weeks, and we have to have some clarity on this for them on what they can do and not do moving forward. So there's a lot of work to be done in the short term, but also in the long term to make sure that we're set up for what's next in college athletics.
Okay, last one for Rick today.
John Freescon News. Rick, you discussed the liability of the Big 12. With the SEC and Big 10 getting such a strong hold of those playoff spots, right now, how do you feel Big 12 is set up to get more than just the automatic bid?
Well, look, you can read what you want to read out there. I think the public would like to see a playoff similar to what we have in basketball, where you earn your way in. I think the process that we have right now, where there's 5 automatic bids for the 5 highest conference-rated schools, with 7 at-large bids, I think that's where it should be. I think that's what people want to see. They want to see people earn their right to be in that. And look, the Big Ten and the SEC, I'm glad that they're having conversations, but there's no liability in the Big 12. We can compete against those 2 conferences. We will compete against those 2 conferences, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. But again, I like where we're at CU. I'm thrilled that we're in the Big 12. We've had a lot of success here, and I think we'll see a lot of success in the days to come.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, everybody.